on? How are you?
Doing good, Kevin. You know why I'm doing good?
Why is that?
I get to spend some one-on-one time with you today.
Just you and I, buddy.
It never happens that way, man. I miss these one-on-one occasions.
Yeah, they're
with
fun.
Each other. We've done, 90? This is our 97th podcast, and we've only think one-on-ones together maybe 2 or 3 times. So when we get a chance to do that, it's kind of cool because we catch up with some stuff we really want to talk about.
Well, there's always kind of something that we kind of want to talk about. We never get a chance to. So this is the kind of chance to bring it all together.
You know, and you got a passion and I got a passion. So we're going to talk about 2 passions today. But we're going to talk about some other stuff too. Hey, by the way, did you see the notice that we were on podcast in Scottsdale?
FeedSpot. Yep. FeedSpot
did that, right?
And they had a bunch of metrics. They said number of downloads, longevity, stuff like that, all kinds of different metrics. And we bubbled to the top. Almost the top.
You know, I think that's pretty cool. And I got to put ourselves on the back a little bit. Not a lot of podcasts go to number 100, do they?
No, they don't. Only like 2% do, right?
That's pretty amazing, right?
And then some of the other, some of the other podcasts that have some good accolades from also are generated by consumers. So they'll query their listeners and audience, say, hey, go vote for me here, which is cool. Yep. Which is cool. We don't do that. This was a third party podcasting company resource that identified us. We did not have anything to do with it.
And we're not here to promote anything. You know, some of the podcasts, and they're all fine.
Yeah.
No arguing with any of them. But they'll promote, guests come on that are sponsors and things like that. We're more like a news service.
Exactly.
We're a positivity news service.
Do you think we get media credentials to stuff in the future?
We can certainly try, man. We got to if we invite the right guests, and that's the way to do it. So let's think about that as a strategy going forward. But is anybody out there that has that does cool events or has sporting venues that you think we need to be at?
Yeah.
Just let us know.
Yeah, we could talk about it.
And then we can talk about what's happening there. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So we're together one-on-one today. It's great to have a break. It's hotter than heck out there still. So nice to come in here and just kind of chill out a little bit and talk about stuff talk about what's on our minds.
Yeah, but you know what? By the time this podcast airs, it's going to be September. And I don't know about you, but for me mentally, I know that it's still hot in September, especially the first 2-3 weeks. But just whenever we get to September 1st, in my mind mentally, I know that we're almost there.
Except for in Arizona.
Yeah, I bet. Don't you? To me, I do, September 1st is a mental hurdle.
Labor Day.
After
Labor Day, right?
After Labor Day, it should start cooling down soon. Even if I get a couple hot days here and there, I know they're dwindling.
Back in the day, and we're going pretty far back here now, even places like in downtown Scottsdale would close on Memorial Day and open on the day after Labor Day. You had that summer off. So like when you go down to the shore on the East Coast or something, you're on the boardwalk in Atlantic City or Wildwood or whatever, things open on Memorial Day, summer, and then they close right after Labor Day since the season's over. So there were seasons back there for businesses.
Right.
A long time ago in downtown Scottsdale, there would be shops down here that would close for the summer.
Like restaurants and stuff?
Yeah, restaurants and gift shops and little trinkets, whatever. They'd have signs on back after Labor Day.
Really?
And so they'd open after Labor Day because the season.
Right.
My only complaint with September here, especially because football starts up again, and I'm a Penn State guy back in Pennsylvania. Football season, I'm thinking these start going, changing colors, break them up, you start burning up, you got the smell in the air, all those fall sensations. Right. Whereas here it's going to be 110 degrees. Right. Till October. Yeah. I know. But, still Labor Day is a turning point. So it's like the season does start back up again. Yep. And that's going to happen for us too. And whether you're talking about city council, school board meetings, there's regular things that happen. Labor Day is kind of it's the starting of another season and a lot more for us to talk about too, right? Absolutely. So I got a couple things in my mind, but let's talk about, some of your passions. One of the things I know you and I talk a lot about is technology. Yeah. You've become kind of like my go-to guru for things on technology. So when I want to know something about technology, you're the guy I usually turn to, and I know you're going to start giving some speeches and presentations for various groups about technology. Really fit your passion. So let's going with technology. Tell me what I need to know. Well, I just, to me, we don't have a chance to talk about technology on the show because we're always talking to newsmakers and we have guests, and so it's not really appropriate. But, I work in technology. I'm a technology analyst by trade for a large insurance company, so that's every day I work with technology, but I'm also passionate about it. And this whole thing about AI has really
got me peaked. I mean, I've been reading a lot about, I'm devouring books and devouring podcasts and devouring blog posts about AI. And I think it's really, really fascinating about what this new generative AI can do, this Chat GPT. Yeah. You've seen it a little bit.
I use Chat GPT now. And back in my reporting days, if I was still a reporter and a writer on a regular basis, it'd be really helpful.
Would it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's going to be helpful, but it's also going to displace some people. Can you imagine if you were a copywriter or something by trade, or if you were somebody who writes a lot of content for blogs and stuff that use SEO principles and stuff like that for content generation?
Yep. It scares me, actually.
Yeah. There's going to be some people displaced by that. And so just this whole thing about AI, and what's happening is, to me, it's so fascinating how quickly it's moving. It seems like it's been with us a while now, right? Mm-hmm. But, this whole, the company that owns ChatGPT, OpenAI, released it in November of last year.
Been a long time, huh?
8 months.
Wow.
Is all it's been. It's only been around for 8 months.
Right. It seems like it's been here forever, though, right? But
right? Yeah. I mean, it seems like it's been forever. Yeah. ChatGPT has only been here for 8 months. Late November of last year.
Moving quick.
So, I mean, that's just crazy. It seems like is how fast it's penetrated and how everybody's talking about it. And every single Fortune 500 company right now is working on strategies to incorporate AI, or to figure out how it can benefit their customers, or to figure out how it's going to displace their workforce, or it's having a massive impact on every single company right now. And then one of my pet peeves is when I watch commercials now on television from either during a sporting event or during primetime TV, how every company wants to integrate the word AI in their advertising. And to me, they're stretching it. Like your toaster oven, sir, does not use AI. I'm telling you. Right? They're saying, your steam cleaner does not use AI.
Not so much.
Yeah. So it's just, to me, it's just really, really interesting, and generative AI is going to displace a lot of people. But the thing about technology, and this has happened before in cycles, for hundreds of years, every time a new technology comes along, initially it displaces workers, but then it recoups new workers. So it's going to be new people in the field who have not been here before. Just a couple stats. The global AI market right now is at $136 billion. They're saying it's going to increase by 13 times over the next 7 years. Wow. I mean, that's crazy. This is something we've unprecedented. And I think this is bigger than when the internet first happened.
That's crazy.
And how disruptive that was, and how changed our lives. Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 48% of businesses use some form of AI to utilize big data effectively right now. 38% of medical providers use computers as part of their diagnosis. Mm-hmm. So that'll be going in effect. So it's just a super interesting time to be alive.
It is. It scares me, though. So, I mean, like any technology, there's positives and negatives.
Right.
So, and I tend to be fear-based a little bit.
Yeah.
What are the negatives? Because you look at some of the technology that we have now, and there's the internet's one, social media is another. That there's a ton of good stuff that can come from that, but a ton of bad stuff too.
Yeah. So, what about AI scares you?
Just the whole, more than anything else, I think it's the unknown.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going, and you talked about displacing people and so forth. So, how that plays out over industries, but to your point, it's coming on so fast, and when something comes in that's such a big game changer for society, if you will, and it comes down the pike so fast, what are we dealing with?
Yeah. People start thinking about science fiction movies where the machines are going to take over and things like that. The thing about this new AI is still not sentient. And sentient, doesn't have the ability to reason or have feelings or anything like that. So until robots have that, we're still a long way away. But it's just fascinating to me.
I'm sorry, I'm still 2001. The movie Hal.
Westworld and
Hal, let me in.
Oh, Hal. Yeah.
No, I don't think so, buddy.
Yeah, right.
You're outside.
Hal 9000.
So, what is your feeling about what should happen in terms of regulations and in terms of ethical standards that people need to adopt when they're thinking about where we're going with AI? Sort of all the sort of rules and regulations that come and need to govern technologies like that. Where is that?
I think, the thing is they want to talk about the biases that are already plugged in, right? So some of the tools that the large language models are learning about have biases baked into them. Mm-hmm. And so therefore the output of the AI will be, could be, have some bias in it too. And I think that there's a lot of people who are working to make sure that's all filtered out.
Yeah.
right? And so that's a good thing. So I want to make sure that's a concern of mine, is to make sure that you filter out the biases of the data that's being used to learn, for the machines to learn on, and that it's like the old adage still, garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you have bad data teaching a machine, then the machine's going to have bad output. I mean, I've already started to see that, where I read something the other day where at first they said you ask the Chat GPT or the language model a question, it was pretty accurate, but as they're starting to put more data in, it's becoming less and less accurate as well. So anyway, but I want them to get it right the first time. Filter all these things out at the beginning.
Good point. So what is your thought about where the government role in this would be in terms of regulations and what?
To make sure it's safe, right? And to make sure that the companies who are building these tools are operating in an ethical in a way. So that's where the government's role is, I think, is to make sure that companies are acting, correctly. There's a role for them for that. Most of them are self-policing themselves, I think, but there could be room for some bad actors as well. And then also the other thing that government can do is obviously is when it comes into foreign policies, looking at other countries as they develop AI tools to help the companies that are native U.S. companies make sure that they still have the tools they need to compete. And to keep us from harm, even if our company, the companies that are doing AI here in the States are operating ethical, if somebody was developing some tools overseas and they were not, then there's a role for our government there as well.
The internet has made the world much smaller.
Yeah,
the whole global scene now has shrunk because of the internet, and this is just another big piece of what's happening there. And we're going to be one big community. We kind of are right now, and so depending on how AI gets regulated in the U.S. versus China versus Iran, I mean, those are the kinds of things down the road that all unknown. It's just the uncertainty, I think, that gives every reason pause to wonder, how's it going to affect my life?
Yeah, one of those things I want to bring about, it was not AI related, but it is technology related, and it has to do with a little bit about could have effect in Scottsdale, is I read an article the other day about what's going on with Airbnb in Manhattan. Okay. Did you know they're pretty much banning Airbnb in Manhattan?
I did not know that.
And they're doing it. They're not having an outright ban, but they're making it so regulated that as a matter of fact, Airbnb has a disclaimer on their website now. They've taken all bookings after September 5th off. Wow. So you can't book anything after September 5th. And then their plan is to put some listings back on, but it's super restrictive. And they're saying that most of the people who have listings in Manhattan will probably take them off. The first thing is you have to register, just like you do in Scottsdale. Right. So that's fine. But the other thing is that the owner has to be at home in the residence when the guest is there. So this whole thing about, I'm turning over my entire house to you and here are the keys, they can't do that anymore.
Really?
They can only be like, you can stay in one of my spare bedrooms or, 2-bedroom or whatever, but the owner of the property has to be present while the renters of the Airbnb are there.
I wonder how that goes off in terms of property owner rights.
I don't know.
Legal.
And here's another thing that's another restriction they put in. I cannot figure out why they did this one. Sometimes if you talk to Airbnb owners who have had listings, one of the techniques they'll do is they'll take a room and lock all their valuables in it and lock that door so that the guests cannot access that, and they'll put their private stuff in there. You can't do that in Manhattan now. They took that restriction off. Basically, you cannot lock your property up. It has to be available, which I cannot understand why they would do that. Right? No, it doesn't. Yeah. So anyway, they're making it so restrictive that pretty much Airbnb in Manhattan is going to be off limits. So I wonder how that will percolate down to other communities in the future.
Very well could, because the trends can expand anywhere that.
I mean, there's a pretty strong population doesn't want STRs here in Scottsdale.
Sure is. That's been a big issue here for a long time.
I wonder if we're capable of doing something like that here.
Stay tuned.
I mean, but it would hurt the tourism industry, I would think.
Yeah, you would think. Although maybe there's certain elements of the tourism industry that would rather have people staying in hotels.
No, that's true.
So it depends on how that plays out too. Airbnb is a relatively new competitor to that industry.
Yeah,
a couple years now, right?
Yeah. So keep your eye on that. I'll be interested to see what other communities do if they follow New York's lead and pretty much make it too restricted for Airbnb operators to make it profitable for them.
An eye on that for sure, because it'll be a big issue. It could be a big issue in Scottsdale as a tourism destination.
Yep.
Good stuff, Kevin. Hey, that's stay tuned for all the all the AI conversations that are going to continue, and that's going to be a Scottsdale issue too. There's going to be companies here that are right in the middle of that, so
Right.
we'll have plenty to talk about there too. But I want to bring up and talk with you today is civility,
Okay.
and as it relates particularly to our, it certainly is a national issue right now, civility and politics and hateful rhetoric that's not everywhere. The national discourse has gotten so ugly sometimes. Makes you wonder what it's all about, and it filters down even to the local level. In our case, the Scottsdale City Council and the Scottsdale Unified School Governing Board, where things just can really get nasty sometimes. And after a while, you start thinking to yourself, get back to the point where we can talk to each other, have good, solid, positive disagreements, but do it in a civil way. Mm-hmm. I just wonder about that. Here's why I'm thinking about that. I went to an event hosted by Arizona Talks.
Yep, I have.
Kind of a cool group. And give me a little plug here, arizonatalks.org. It's a nonprofit organization that hosts public policy talks, basically, that is intended to try to facilitate open dialogue and analysis and factual ways of looking at public policy and kind of challenging, everybody, all of us, but, leaders also kind of engage. And they had their fall kickoff party, and they had a really cool panel that included people like we all know, like Rusty Bowers, mm-hmm. who's a former House Speaker and stood up to the pressures he got from President Trump and Rudy Giuliani, and refused to go with the illegal scheme to replace Arizona's legal slate of electors. Rusty's been a hero to a lot of people.
Yeah,
his ability to do that. But there's other people. Fred Duvall from the Regents was on there. Stephen Richer, Maricopa County Recorder, and we had a state legislator and a member of Phoenix City Council on there. It was just the other day. But here's what we started talking about. This is what they were talking about too. How do we restore common sense and just good, solid ways of being able to disagree with each other without fighting like cats and dogs?
Right.
And, Rusty Bowers actually said something that I think applicable certainly to the way things play here in Scottsdale. And that's like, his whole notion was, how can we fix this, if you will? He said, you can't really fix it. Control yourself. You have a personal responsibility, whether you're a leader or somebody that goes to meetings or participates in public policy debates at city council or school boards, whatever. All you can really do is control yourself. And that really resonated with me.
Did it?
Sometimes people don't think about it.
Yeah.
I think of, and we've both been to many governing board and city council meetings. It's the sort of people that get up there and they're mad about everything, sort of dominate the discourse, and just makes for a really unfriendly atmosphere. Sometimes it disrupts the way that work gets done.
Yeah.
So I wonder, if we could promote ways that we can start returning to sort of ways we used to fight with each other, which were more civil and productive. And, there's some things to think about. But, a couple of things that they talked about in the last night, and some of the things that I've written about recently was, don't come in like you know everything there is about it. Open-minded. Mm-hmm. Think about, I've watched the way that action unfolds on the city council dais or the governing board, or in people who are in the Kiva or at the school board meetings talking about it. Nominating. They come with a particular point of view and they're just bound and determined not to change. You've seen that too.
Oh yeah.
What do you do with that?
I don't know. Do you think we could point out examples of good civil dialogue when we see it? We don't see it that often very much anymore, right?
Well, you do, but sometimes it's not as visible, or you don't hear about it as much because.
Right.
Yeah. So it's harder to find that. We all have been in conversations with people who think they know it all and they dominate the conversation. They don't give room for others to have their. That just does not go anywhere, right?
Mm-mm. We had Leanne Witt a couple of weeks ago from the executive director of Scottsdale Leadership. I went to their welcome reception last Friday, and they were talking specifically about trying to bring back the civil dialogue creed to that city council used to have on the back of all their comment cards.
Yeah, that's right.
They want to bring that back.
That's exactly right.
Because they somehow got away from that, and that's a very important thing to have on the back of the comment cards. These are the rules for civility that we need to hold ourselves accountable for.
That's a wonderful idea. I'm not sure why we got away from that.
I don't either.
That's a perfect idea. You talked about technology before, and as much as technology has benefits, one of the downsides, particularly in relationship to social media, is all the rhetoric that we see on there. it can be toxic. It can turn non-issues into flaming controversies. And what really piques me sometimes is the folks who are able to speak out anonymously and throw bombs at people in terms of issues, and just inflames the entire conversation. I wish there was a way that, particularly people who do it now, that say they're doing it because they can care about the future of our city or the future of our schools. Yeah, everything they write about is negative and looking for ways to pick fights, and just say, time out.
Right.
Time out. Let's get back to common principles about how we deal with each other. Be open and honest. Don't hide behind your social media curtains. Don't be anonymous cowards. Out and put your name on your belief and go forward with it and talk about it out loud.
Right. Yeah. And present to me is like, rather than just complaining about something and just like pointing out the negative, offer a plan. Show me what you think. Give me your ideas rather than just bringing people down all the time.
Exactly. Well, and even in campaigning, and this is true, locally and nationally, it's not anymore about what you want. It's about what you don't want.
Yeah.
It's what you're trying to block. What are you against? That's been the tenure of the conversations and the political positioning of people now. What are you trying to fight? What are you against? Instead of what are you for? What's your vision?
Right. Yeah.
We see that in Scottsdale all the time. Almost every city council race, we see what it is that you want to block.
Right. Yeah.
Not what it is that you see the city and where it's going to be 5 or 10 years from now. Talk about the vision.
Right.
Where do you see a positive impact in terms of what's going to happen? Your views for Scottsdale's head.
Yeah.
That's just a pet peeve, and it's something we talk about a lot on this podcast. We talk a lot about it in the newsletters we write and the roundtables that we hold. But it would be nice if we could really start to preach that message. And I'm thankful that organizations like Scottsdale Leadership brought.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, what was kind of cool I saw today that was made me kind of smile was the Scottsdale city government released a video today. I guess they're having a party on Saturday at the new Civic Center outside. It's going to be hot, but it's kind of an 80s throwback thing. And, but they just released this promotional video and involved a bunch of employees acting out some little skits and talking about this thing. And it was just so clever and it was so talented. And I'm like, that is a great idea. We had this, I hope I can go on Saturday night, but it's going to be down at the Civic Center. So show off the new Civic Center. Yeah. It's going to be fun. And I'm like, what a great city we have to do stuff like that. And it was a cool message and it was a cool video. Well,
speaking of that, I had a meeting this week with City Manager Jim Thompson.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and we were just talking about some issues, and it occurred to me, and he was talking about how he takes care of all the city employees.
Oh, yeah?
And the city hires a lot of employees. I don't remember what the latest count is, but it's the largest employer pretty much in Scottsdale. So Jim Thompson is, the CEO basically of a very large company with a lot of employees. And the culture, and we've seen this in the city, and this is a positive sign, that they've instilled in the city, and we've seen this with a ton of the podcast guests we've had on here. It's super good. Mm-hmm. It starts at the top. It's all positive. They care about each other. Is it perfect? Heck no. Right. Is it good? Heck yeah. Right. And it's just kind of good to see that. And, if you've got a city work crew, a city staff, which is the police department or the fire department or the division, whatever, a good culture. And I think that really has a positive effect on the quality of services that we receive as city residents because people like going to work for the city. Yeah, yeah. I remember when I first moved to, I've been in Scottsdale off and on for 30 years, but when I bought my most recent house here, I was just so impressed when I called for finding out about trash pickup and bulk trash pickup and how this works and that works. God, customer service was just so good. No kidding. So you talked before about how we're rounding around to Labor Day now. This will be airing the week after Labor Day, and it's the start of a new season. Let's make this season one that we really stick to our mission on this podcast, which is to be talking about all things positive in Scottsdale, because there are so much positive things to talk about. Absolutely. Number one city. Where else would you want to live? Quality of services, low taxes, just a wonderful city. Call me Pollyanna. I don't care. This is what we're going to focus on in the year ahead as well, as we continue to put a good focus on why we think Scottsdale is the best city in the Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. What else you got? That's it, man. Not to say any other things you want to talk about before we sign off.
No, I just wanted to kind of maybe talk briefly about it. Did you see this SUSD economic impact study they did?
They're doing pretty good, aren't they?
They are doing good, and they did something really unique that no other school district I know has done this. They're trying to measure the impact of their graduates from SUSD schools on the economic value in Scottsdale.
Good idea.
Now, some people leave, right? I'm a graduate. I graduate from one of the high schools. I leave, go to college. I don't come back.
Right.
Those people, they try to figure out to exclude them, but they just want to know the impact of people who stay in town. And it was kind of cool. They say that, first of all, and this is, so they were looking at SUSD versus the Arizona schools. 94%, SUSD has a 94% graduation rate, 78% for the state, so they're ahead there. 75% of SUSD students enroll in college. Only 46% of other districts do.
Good.
And 49% of SUSD graduates earn a college degree, and only 25% of the rest of Arizona does.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and they said that SUSD's performance at state average, they bring in $170 million in economic impact and wages and impact to Scottsdale. So that's kind of cool. I thought that was kind of cool. Like what the ROI is. Try to even attempt to do something like that. I guess the study was done in cooperation with ASU and another research firm to kind of double check it on the metrics. So I thought it was pretty cool. They said that property values increase 1 to 4%. With good schools, because we always talk about that when we talk about the override, which we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks.
Right.
We have some guests on to talk about the school override. Having a good school districts increase your property values.
Absolutely.
Right, and so this actually measures that and shows that it does.
It's also a big draw for businesses that want to recruit and move to different cities. That's the first thing they look at.
Absolutely.
What's the quality of your schools?
Absolutely. So I thought it was kind of cool that, we always talk about the impact that SUSD has on our community, but for the first time ever, they try to quantify and get some ROI and get some metrics behind it. I thought that was kind of cool.
Love those stats, man. And it's just another feather in our cap.
Yep.
Why Scottsdale is cool, right? Why it's a special place.
Absolutely.
Great conversations today, Kevin.
Yeah.
It's going to be a busy year ahead.
Yeah, we're looking forward to I'm really excited about the guests we have coming on in the upcoming weeks. If you look at our roster, who we have coming on, very impactful, very insightful, and our audience is going to love it.
These are folks who are shaping Scottsdale's future. And more listeners like you tuning in, we're all going to be in this together. So we really appreciate that. So, Kevin, great catching up with you.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week for another edition, today and tomorrow in Scottsdale.